guys, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel, and today I thought I would do a book haul video. So I haven't done a book haul video in a very long time. It must have been at least a year or so since I last did one, and I have been going on a bit of a mad one and buying lots of books during lockdown, which is really ironic because I haven't really read that much while being in quarantine. So I have my work cut out with all of these. I have about like 20 or so books here to show you, so I will try and keep this video as short and sweet as possible, but without further ado, let's just delve into the book haul. So as soon as lockdown hit and my work closed and I realised I had all of this free time to do what I wanted to do, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to start buying as many books as possible, and I didn't really read any of them. One of the first books that I picked up was in the supermarket, and I hate going to the supermarket. I never do it. I always usually shop online, but in March, especially as soon as we went into lockdown, it was very difficult to get a delivery slot, and the app that I used to do all of my shopping was locked, so I couldn't get my shopping online anywhere, which meant I had to drag myself down to Tesco. And to be honest, Tesco have a really good selection of books a lot of the time. They have a really good deal on, it's a 2 for £8 deal, so instead of buying one book for £4.50, £5, you can buy two for £8 and save yourself some money. And they usually have pretty good books on sale, some bestsellers, some more obscure books as well. But the first book that I picked up was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides or Michaelides. I can never pronounce his last name, and I do apologise for that. I have already read this book and I was very disappointed by it. I remember when it came out and there was a lot of hype surrounding it. It was very popular. People seemed to absolutely love it. So I have been very curious to read it for a very long time. And the way this book was marketed doesn't represent what this book is about at all. And I thought I was going to go into a really creepy, tense, psychological thriller, and it wasn't that, and I'm really upset about it. It's not a bad book, but it's just not amazing either. And by the time this video goes up, I will probably have already done my July wrap-up video, and I will definitely talk about this book a lot more in that video, so be sure to check that out. But honestly, I don't think this book is worth the hype at all. Anyway, on that same day, I also picked up The Holiday by T.M. Logan. I always keep saying Tim Logan for some reason, and I know it's not Tim, but anyway, I haven't seen this book around that much on Instagram and on BookTube. It's quite an obscure book, I think, but I do know that it is a thriller, and it is about these four best friends and their husbands and kids who go on holiday together in France, I believe, and one of the friends suspects that her husband is having an affair with another one of the friends on the holiday, and alongside that some other stuff goes down and it ends in death and misery, I think, and that is just right up my street. I love domestic thrillers, and I love thrillers set, in holiday settings. I read a few like that and I really, really enjoyed them. So I definitely think I will enjoy this book. Like a lot of people this year, I celebrated my birthday in lockdown, and as always, I was gifted some books by my boyfriend's mum, and those two books are Jacoby by William Ritter and The Passengers by John Mars. And these are two books that I have wanted to read for a while now, and I've heard really good things about both of them. Jacoby is all about this girl called Abigail who has moved to this new town, and she meets this detective called R.F. Jacoby, and he investigates like the supernatural, and he has the ability to see supernatural beings. And other than that, I don't know much else, but this book is set in the 1800s, which is a great setting. I really enjoy books that are set in that kind of time period, and I'm expecting lots of things like ghosts and ghouls and vampires maybe, and witches, I don't know, but I know there is a murder mystery in this book as well, which is another thing I love, and I'm kind of hoping to read this for like Halloween time, autumn time, because it's got those kind of vibes to it, and yeah, I'm just very, very excited to read this. Then The Passengers by John Mars is a thriller all about these driverless cars that get hacked into and sent on like a fatal collision course, and if the authorities and the police try to interfere, then the hackers will just explode the cars and kill everyone in them. It sounds super interesting, and I know there's like a trial by social media and the public get a say in who lives and who dies, I think, which just sounds really fucked up, but I know I'm gonna love it, and I think I'm gonna love it. It's a bold statement to make, Jess, steady on. But I do know that this book has been really popular, and a few of the booktubers that I watch have said that this is one of their favourite thrillers, so it has very high expectations, and I hope it lives up to every single one of them, and I am very, very keen to read this, and hopefully I can get this done before the end of this year, because I am very ashamed actually that I haven't read anything by John Mars yet, because I have just heard nothing but praise for him. We're on to some more books now that I also picked up in Tesco while out shopping, and honestly I think people should just take me on a lead and like drag me away from the book aisle, because I could easily get carried away in there, honestly. Another book that I picked up is The Prison Doctor by Dr. Amanda Brown, and this is a memoir all about her time as a doctor in some of the UK's most notorious prisons, and she has treated a lot of very dangerous criminals, and it just sounds really intriguing to me. Like, I think like a lot of people, I have a very morbid fascination with crime and true crime and the people that commit those crimes. This is a very different side to true crime, and I've read a lot of books about being a doctor and working in the NHS, but this is something totally unique, and I feel like it's going to be a very, very interesting read. Blood Orange by Harriet Tice. At the time of picking this up, I'd never heard of this book, I'd never seen it, I didn't know what it was about. I literally just picked it up because I liked the cover. I just love the orange and the yellow on that. It's so pretty and it just looks amazing on everything. I've seen this book floating around online since, and it's had very mixed reviews. It's not a popular one, to say the least. It's a domestic thriller, and it's all about this criminal barrister who is given a case defending this woman who stabbed her husband, and this woman is not denying that she killed her husband and she wants to plead guilty, but this main character, Alison, she's not sure that this woman is telling the whole truth. There's also a lot of other things going on in Alison's life, like she's having an affair and she drinks too much. It sounds like something I would like. I don't think anyone's really loved it. Some people have liked it, and then there are people that have absolutely hated it. So I guess I'm just going to have to, I am going to have to read it for myself to find out. But either way, I like the cover. I'm keeping it. The Night Before by Wendy Walker. Again, This is another book that I have never heard of this author, never seen it online. At the time, I didn't really know what it was about. I just literally picked it up for the same reason I picked Blood Orange up, and that was because of the cover. I really like this aesthetic that thrillers have going on, where they have like the dark background and then the bright neon title and then the bright neon spine. That's an aesthetic that I really like and I am always drawn to. But having read a little bit more about this, I do know that it is about these two sisters, and one of them goes on a first date and she doesn't come home, and then the other sister goes to find out what has happened to her, I believe. Like, the first line just says, "First dates can be murder." And that sounds really interesting to me. I say interesting a lot. I need to find another word. But like I said, I haven't really seen this book floating about online, so I don't really have other people's opinions on it, but I'm going to go into it and see if I enjoy it. It's another kind of domestic thriller, and I always like those, so we'll see. And now we've reached the final book from my Tesco book haul, and that is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I have been wanting to read this book for so long, but the only reason why I haven't read this book is because I've been holding out to get this cover. Look how nice this cover is. Again, it's like the neon orange and like the spooky house. It's just, I love this cover more than the original one. Like, the original one looks creepy and so cool, but I really just prefer this one. Anyway, I have heard really good things about this. Everyone has, and I am ashamed that I haven't got to it sooner, and I'm kind of saving it for autumn, Halloween time again, because it has those kind of spooky vibes, and I've heard it's quite creepy, and that is everything I want in a thriller like this. I don't know why I said it like that. But it is about this character called Rowan, who is a nanny, and she gets this position with a very nice salary. She is a live-in nanny, so she's there all the time looking after this kid, and what she doesn't realise, it says, is that she is stepping into a nightmare, one that will end with a child dead and her in a cell awaiting trial for murder. Oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? I'm just really hyped to read this book, and I have very high expectations for it. So if it doesn't live up to those, I am gonna be very annoyed. I'm sure it'll be fine. Alright, so now we are on to all of the books that I bought online, and I went crazy on Book Depository, and I spent over £100 in one sitting, and that was with a voucher as well. And I've never used Book Depository before, and I have to say their service was 10 out of 10. Cannot go wrong. I will just give a quick mention to this book here, Red, White and Royal Blue. I bought this off Book Depository, and then when I got it, I realised it was in Polish. So I don't have it with me. I've sent it back. I'm waiting for the English copy to come, because I'm an idiot and I don't read things properly, and I just bought a book thinking it was automatically going to come in English, and I forget that there are other languages in the world. And anyway, I know that everybody really likes this book. It's a young adult contemporary romance, and it's all about this English prince and the President of America's son, and they kind of get set up in a fake friendship, and I think it's kind of like an enemy to lovers romance, which I really like. I know that's a trope that a lot of people love. It's just more exciting, and there's just something really bittersweet about an enemies to lovers romance. And it's also a male romance, which I haven't read a lot of recently, and the last two that I read I really liked, and so I would like to get into more of those like queer romance books, and I'm also trying to diversify my reading a little bit more and read more books about LGBTQ plus characters, and read more books about black characters and books from black authors and female authors and trans authors, and I'm just trying to mix things up a bit, and I just really want to read this book. So when I get it, which is hopefully soon, I think it'll be one of the first books that I pick up. Don't hold me to that though. So next we've got the Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown, and I bought this book specifically for the reading rush. There's a challenge in the reading rush where you have to read a book based on a movie you've already seen. The Da Vinci Code was one of my favourite films as a teenager. I still love it now. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I have seen it a lot and I enjoy it every single time. I have wanted to read Dan Brown for a while, but every time I look at his books, I just feel a little bit intimidated because this one's very chunky, and another one that I own back there, which is called Inferno, is also very chunky. So I have been a little bit apprehensive to get into it, but knowing that I really liked this film, I feel like I am definitely going to enjoy this book. And it's set in Paris, which makes me very happy because I have some bizarre obsession with Paris, even though I have never been, and I do really want to go, and I keep telling my boyfriend to take me, and right now we can't go because of the whole pandemic thing, but in the future, if you're watching this, boyfriend, you better be taking me. It's all about religion and conspiracies and Leonardo da Vinci, and it's just the perfect mix of mystery and thriller and intrigue and, you know, politics, and I just love it. I love the film, and so I'm very keen to read this. By the time this video is up, I will probably have already read this, depending on how my reading rush goes. So look for that. If it's there, I will link it. If not, once I have read it, you guys will be the first to know about it. Back in 2019, I read a book called The Humans by Matt Haig, and that was one of my favourite books of 2019. It was so beautiful, and it was just so different to anything I had read before, and it kind of opened my eyes up to contemporary a bit more, because until that point I never really enjoyed reading contemporary fiction. It wasn't something that interested me. I kind of just, you know, poo-pooed it and stuck with fantasy and thrillers. But The Humans was just so wonderful, and Matt Haig's writing in that book was so quirky and so witty. I really enjoyed that. And then this year I ended up reading How to Stop Time by Matt Haig, and again, a fantastic book. Wasn't as good as The Humans, but really liked it. So I went on a bit of a mad Matt Haig shopping spree, and I bought all of these books, and I love the spines. Like, they're just so aesthetically pleasing together. They all match, and all of the covers have kind of like the same kind of illustrations on them as well. So they look great in photographs, and they look great on my bookshelf. But yeah, I've been wanting to read more Matt Haig, so I bought as many books of his as possible. There are a few books I am missing, like Echo Boy, and I know he's written some children's books which I haven't bought, but I would like to. I already have The Humans, that's back over there on my bookshelf, but I picked up How to Stop Time. When I read this originally, I borrowed it from the library, but I'm so pleased to finally own my own copy. And I don't think I told you what this is about, but this is all about a guy who is unable to age like everybody else. He ages a lot slower. It's just how his DNA works, and so he's lived for several centuries, and we follow him through different points of his life, and we learn about his relationship with his mother and his daughter and the woman that he loved, and also this secret society that he kind of gets thrown into for people like him. And it was just a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. Then we have The Dead Fathers Club, which I believe is a retelling of Shakespeare's Henry IV. I might be wrong, but it is a Shakespeare retelling. It's all about this 11-year-old boy whose father died, and his mother is having an affair with his uncle, and then one day his father's ghost shows up and tells the boy that his uncle killed him. And so this boy is like, I'm gonna get revenge for my dad, and goes off to like kill his uncle, and it just sounds so much fun. Then we have The Last Family in England, and this is another Shakespeare retelling. I think it's Hamlet this time, and I know that it's written from a dog's perspective. He's a Labrador, and he is made part of this group of dogs called the Labrador Pact, and it's all about him just, trying to save his family. And there are this group of other dogs that are like Springer Spaniels, and they're like revolting against everyone else, and it just sounds so much fun. And I've never read a book from a dog's perspective before. Yeah, I'm very excited about this one. Then we have The Radleys, which is a vampire contemporary, which is something I've never read before, so that's automatically calling to me, and I love anything to do with vampires. And this is about these two siblings, and one of them gets attacked one night, and then that leads to them discovering why they can't sleep and why they can't eat certain things, and they find out they're vampires, and it's all about them adjusting to that and trying to, live life as vampires in, our human society. And it sounds really fun. I think I'm gonna like it. This is another book that I might save up for Halloween. I don't know. I am thinking about doing actually a reading vlog where I just read all of these books by Matt Haig, because I feel like I have to read all of his books together in one go. We'll see. Then we have The Possession of Mr. Cave, and it's the one I know least about. It says here it's about this man called Terence Cave, who is an owner of Cave Antiques, and he has experienced his mother's suicide, his wife's murder, and then his teenage son Reuben is killed in an accident. His remaining child, Bryony, has always been the family's golden girl, and Terence comes to realise that his one duty in life is to protect her from the world's malign forces, whatever they may take. But as he starts to follow his grieving daughter's movements and enforce a draconian set of rules, his love for Bryony becomes a possessive force that leads to destruction. Then the last two books I have by Matt Haig are his non-fiction books, Reasons to Stay Alive and Notes on a Nervous Planet. This one is probably the first book that alerted me to Matt Haig. I remember seeing this in a shop somewhere, and I was really attracted to the cover, and I didn't really know what it was about, and every time I saw it I was like, I want to buy it, I want to pick it up, but I don't know who this guy is, and I don't read non-fiction. Obviously my opinions have changed now because I know who Matt Haig is, and I do read non-fiction, and this one is basically all about trying to cope with current life and, coping with things like sleeping and social media and how that affects our brains and what we can do about it, basically. And then Reasons to Stay Alive is a memoir, and it talks about the struggles that Matt Haig has had with mental health. And I follow him on Twitter, and he talks very openly and honestly about his struggles with depression and how he tried to take his own life when he was younger. And I feel like this is going to be a book that I will be able to connect to in some way, and I know it's probably going to be a bit of a hard read, but it's going to be a very important one, and I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and people have said that it's been really inspiring and really heartwarming for them, so that just makes me love it already. Alright, so we're moving on to the last few books from my book depository haul, and one of those books that I wanted to talk about is Birthday by Meredith Russo. And I've seen this book floating about online for a very long time, and it's a book that I have been really wanting to read, and it's all about these two kids, and one of them is trans, and we basically follow them through 6 years of their life, but we only follow them on their birthday. And it's a day that they have always spent together, but over time they start to grow apart, and it's just kind of exploring their friendship and seeing how they have both changed as people, and also seeing how the trans character has, you know, come to terms with who they are and becoming comfortable with themselves. And I've heard such amazing things about this. A few people that I know have read this and really enjoyed it, and they were the ones that recommended it to me in the first place, and it just sounds super heartwarming, super lovely, and I really can't wait to read it. I also really like the sprayed edges on this book. Like, it's so pretty, and I think this is like the first book I own with sprayed edges as well, and I just can't wait to show it off in photos. Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. I have seen Elizabeth Acevedo's books online for a long time, and I haven't read any of her stuff yet, but I've heard nothing but praise about her work. And Clap When You Land is about these two girls whose fathers are on a plane flying from New York City to the Dominican Republic, or it might be the other way around. And one of the girls is waiting to greet her father at the airport when she is confronted by this scene of distressed people, and the other girl is at school and she gets called into the office and she is told that her father's plane has crashed. And it's based on a true event that happened, I think, in like the really early 2000s. It's something that I wasn't aware of. I would have been very young at the time, but it is based on a real plane crash. And this book is also written in verse, which I know Elizabeth Acevedo has done in her other work as well, and I have never read a book that is written in verse, so this in itself is going to be a very new experience for me, but I think it's going to be a good experience. I am always open to like trying new things and looking at different writing styles, and yeah, I'm just very keen to read this. Yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting and eye-opening read. It's all about grief and loss and forgiveness, and yeah, it just sounds so beautiful, and I'm very excited to read my first Elizabeth Acevedo novel. Then we have My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing, and this is another very popular thriller, and it's a book that has been recommended to me by a few people online for some time, and I have been anticipating to read this since forever, I feel like. And it's about this married couple, and the man goes out to find people for his wife to kill, I think, basically. Sounds really fucked up, and it sounds right up my street. Bunny by Mona Awad. This has been raved about since it came out last year, and I really like the concept of this, and it's kind of like a blend of satire and horror, like fairy tale horror, I think it said. It's about this girl, she's a student, she's studying this MFA at university, and she's part of like this writing group, but all the girls call each other Bunny, and she gets invited to be part of the bunnies, and I don't really know anything else about it other than that. But I haven't read a lot of horror in a while, and I really want to get back into horror. It's one of my favourite genres to read about, especially when it's done really well, and apparently this one is done really well. And yeah, like, I've seen some booktubers read this and rate it 5 stars and say that it's one of their favourite books of the year, so I can't wait to give this a go. The last thriller in this haul is An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, and again, this is a thriller that I don't really know a lot about, but I've seen it everywhere and it's got some mixed reviews actually. Some people have loved it and said it's amazing. Other people haven't really liked it and said it's not worth the hype. I know that it's about this character called Jess, so that's an instant win already. Anyone called Jess is the best. She gets signed up to do this psychological study and she thinks she's going there just to be asked a few questions and find a few things out about herself, but it's a bit more intense than that. And this doctor that is like interviewing her seems like they know more about Jess than what they're letting on. Like, they know what she's thinking and they know what she's hiding, basically. And that's all I really know about it. I don't want to know too much more because, like I said, it has got mixed reviews and I kind of just want to go into it a bit blindly, not have any real expectations for it and just see for myself what it's like. But I'm probably going to save this for October, November time, because that's the time when I like to read thrillers, and you'll be the first to know once I've read it and what I thought of it. And lastly, we finally got there, is a young adult contemporary. I think it's a young adult. It is young adult. I think it's a contemporary, and that is Ziggy Stardust and Me by James Brandon. Originally, I bought this book because I am a huge David Bowie fan. Anything related to David Bowie, I am there for, and Ziggy Stardust is an iconic David Bowie persona, and like, that in itself was just a selling point for me. Also, this cover is absolutely beautiful. I adore it so much, and anything with pink and purple on the cover appeals to me. Is an instant sell again. Knowing more about this book now, I am really excited to read this. I think it's going to be a 5-star read. I will say that now. It's set in 1973 and it's about this kid called Jonathan who is really struggling with his identity and trying to accept himself as gay, and his inspiration is David Bowie's character Ziggy Stardust, and he ends up getting pulled into like this imaginative world where he's with Ziggy Stardust and also his dead relatives, and they are the ones that kind of guide him through life and try to help him figure out who he is and become comfortable with who he is and the fact that he is gay. And he meets this guy called Webb as well, and Webb is kind of the one that kind of helps show him that it's okay to be the way he is and there's nothing wrong with it, you don't need to be ashamed of it. And it just sounds really magical, it sounds so beautiful, and it's also set in a time where things are going on that aren't very nice. Like, there's things like the Vietnam War, I think it mentioned, and the Watergate scandal, which was a very big thing in the UK. Being gay at that time was also considered being a mental illness, so he's got a lot of things to contend with. And that kind of world and that kind of time, as horrible as it may seem, it also kind of interests me and I want to learn a bit more about it, and just sounds like such a wonderful book, and I really want to read it very soon, so watch out for that. And if it's not 5 stars, I'll be very angry, but I think it will be. Alright, so we did it, guys. We reached the end of that book haul, and I know it was really long, and thank you so much if you stuck around until the very end. I love books with all my heart, which means I tend to ramble on about them a lot, and I try not to do that. But yeah, like I said, if you stuck to the end, thank you. I love you. You're amazing. I've got a lot of books to read for the next few months, so I shouldn't be bored anytime soon. And as always, you know, if you read any of the books mentioned in this video, then please feel free to leave a little comment down below just telling me what you thought about them. Are any of these books your favourites, or are any of these books like the worst books in the world? I really hope not. I'm gonna try and cool off and not buy as many books for a while, because I definitely think I have a problem, but I really enjoyed doing this video and I would love to do another book haul video in the future, so watch out for that. As always, if you like this video, then give me a cheeky thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel while you're at it. Also follow all of my social media links because you get to see what else I'm up to other than reading, which isn't a lot. It's probably like working and watching Netflix and sleeping and sitting in the bath for ridiculous amounts of time. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in another video very soon. Bye guys.